So today I'm going to show you how to make these really cute cappuccino mugs. I did try to film this tutorial before, however I lost the footage when I tried to go back and edit. I couldn't find it. So we're going to start with the Irish mugs from Dollar Tree. You can find them at most Dollar Trees. They're in the section where all the stemware and flatware is, where all the dishes are in your local Dollar Tree. And you're going to need a paintbrush. Mine was kind of coming apart from the handle, so I had to tape it there. And you're going to need some paint. Choose a color that best matches the color of coffee that you're going for. I wanted one that looked like it had a lot of creamer in it, like a latte or a cappuccino. And you're just going to brush on a thin coat of paint all around the mug. It's totally up to you how far up the mug you want to go. You're just going to eyeball it and kind of figure out where you kind of want how full of coffee you want the mug to be. And you're simply just going to do a thin layer and kind of check it from time to time and make sure that you're getting full coverage. The first coat, when you hold it up to the light, if you go and hold it up next to a good light source, if you're able to see through it and see that it's not quite, like if it's still kind of iridescent looking, you're going to want to go back and do another coat. It really does take 2 coats no matter what to get a really good solid base. You're going to want to let the coats dry in between. I would suggest up to 8 hours, although the first time I did this, I only waited for about an hour or two and then went back and started to work on adding the filler and the whipped topping, and it worked out fine. However, remember that as you're painting on glass, if you go back or as you're trying to add like the filler and stuff to the cup, if you scratch, the paint's going to scratch off. So you're going to want to be careful with that as you're working with it. And while the paint's still wet, you can go around and kind of even up your edges and try to get a smooth line across to make it kind of look like the coffee, was filled evenly. But like I said, you're going to want to kind of do at least 2 coats, 3 coats, and the longer you let it dry, the better it's going to be to work with. I'm just going around and using my finger to kind of even it up, and using your finger works better than a paper towel. I just find like I have more control when I use my hands. Then after you get the paint all in there and you're satisfied and it's dry, you're going to go and use the filler from, I don't know what this is called. I guess it's spackle. You're going to use those little spackle cans from the Dollar Tree. And it's going to come out of the container easily, and you're just going to work it in your hands into like a little bit of a ball. I was being extra careful because I wanted to get this video out for you guys because so many of you have asked for it, and it takes a while to make videos. It takes a while to do this, and I was really trying to get it done, so I didn't have time to wait for the paint to dry, so I was being extra careful as I dropped that in to the cup. But as I dropped it in and I kind of played with it, I found what worked best was to kind of just roll it in my hands, pat it out, and kind of pat it up against the painted surface rather than drop it in again because I'm working with wet paint here. But, I mean, if you think about it, if it works for me while the paint's still wet, then it's a pretty sturdy project and foolproof if you've let it dry. So, if I can do this, you can do this. It's not a hard project at all. But I'm just playing with the spackle, and it's real soft. It's very light. It's easier to use the spackle than it is other types of filler. Some people fill with styrofoam. Some people don't fill the cup at all. They just put like a styrofoam topper on. But I really wanted to just kind of fill it and have something to fill, to have the caulking sit on top of. I wanted it to be a permanent thing. I didn't want it to come up detached from the cup. I wanted one really cool looking art piece. I'm showing you here where I kind of messed up and scratched the paint away, but you can see through and it looks like whipped cream in there, so I'm not too upset that there's slight imperfections in the paint. I make these for me. I do not sell them. I enjoy using them in my vignettes and tablescapes and things like that. I do give them as gifts to my family and friends, and I have thought about selling them, but if I did agree to sell them, I would probably want to sell these in particular just locally because I'm not sure how well they would ship. I know that temperature wise they hold up really well, like the spackling and stuff. Once they're dry, they're pretty permanent. You don't have to worry about it. But I'm not sure how the embellishments and all of that would transport even if I did package them well. So, but again, you know, this is taking a little bit. I thought I had sped this video up. Apparently I didn't speed it up enough. But anyway, I'm just taking my time and making sure that I get a really good base fill of this spackle before I go back and use my caulking to create the topper with. And it's an easy project. So far, I probably have about $3 in the entire project if you're just looking at one cup, because the cup itself is $1. A jar of the spackling is $1. A tube of the caulking is $1. So I'm $3 in at this point, not counting the embellishments. The embellishments are things that I already have in my stash that I've saved up over the years, and I'm not factoring in the cost of the paint. But the paint is less than $2. If you get a higher end paint, you're going to pay more, but you can get apple barrel paint for less than $1 at Walmart, and it works just as well as the Faux paint does. Another thing that you'll want to keep in mind with the spackling is that once it's dry, it's hard. So once you open the container, you have to use what you're going to use, and then if there's any left over, you're going to want to throw that away because it's just going to harden and you're not going to be able to go back and use it. The caulking you can save for later, but you don't want to save it too long open because it'll become watery, and I'm not sure how well it'll do once, you know, in the drying process once it's been open for a while. So I tend not to save my caulking either. I tend to use the whole container or the whole tube and then give it a toss. It's cheap enough so I don't feel like I'm wasting anything really if I throw a little bit of it away. You can save the spackling containers too. You can wipe them out with a paper towel and use them as paint containers, when you're painting, doing projects. With the caulking, I save the lid that comes on the caulking because I use that as a decorative embellishment. This year I might try to make mini witch hats with them, or I've even thought about turning them into gumdrops for a gumdrop tree project for Christmas. I basically cut with I'm using like an what do you call this, an X-Acto knife, but you're going to want to use some kind of a sharp tool. Scissors are a little bit hard, but you're going to want a sharp tool to cut the tip off. There's different lengths that are lined out on the tip for you to follow as a guide when you're cutting the tip off, but you don't have to use the guide. Just cut it down far enough so it gives you a big, nice little circle. There you see I'm just trying out an older container, and it comes out pretty watery, so I ended up throwing that one away. One thing to remember when you're using the tubes is they're not very full tubes of caulking. There's a lot of air in them, so you're going to want to start at the bottom or I'm sorry, like at the fat part, not where the end is, but you're going to want to work your way down towards the tip, getting the air bubbles out as you go. But if you get air bubbles that come out, that's okay. I am going to try to show you that you don't need to put a piping tool on it for this project. You can literally just use the motion of going up and down, up and down, up and down, and it's going to give you the look of whipped cream. And you could even seriously just squeeze the whole bottle into the top of that cup and then go back with a knife or a spoon or a stick or a popsicle stick or something and just kind of play around with it to get the look of you want in your topping. Just have fun with it, play with it. Again, to me, this is a piece of art, so it's it's totally in what you want and what your eye sees as you're doing the project, and just kind of play with it, work with it until you get the desired look that you want. It typically does take one entire tube per cup for this project. I also have made mini cups as well, and I do those I did them for the first time last year, and I did them for a Christmas project, and I may try to, and that was also from Dollar Tree little dollhouse cups. I might go back and try to make some mini cappuccino cups for Halloween and see how they look. So I'm cutting open the other container to fill up the other cup. I'm making 2 of these this time. And again, I apologize that the video is kind of dragging on. To me, it seems a little boring listening to me talk as I work through all these things. But I will say there was an interesting story when I went to the Dollar Tree today to pick up the supplies for this particular project that I'm working on right now. A lady in line behind me at the register recognized me from the post that I did on Facebook in one of the groups, and knew exactly what I was doing when I purchased these items today. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I've never been recognized for one of my videos before. And I also want to say that I appreciate everybody who has liked and commented on the post that I made in all the Halloween groups and crafting groups that I posted it to. I am very overwhelmed at the response that I got. I've been crafting for a really long time, but I have not been, I haven't really posted it. I don't sell it. I don't, I just kind of do it for fun. And this video is obviously going up on my YouTube channel. There you go. You can see that I've got the toppers on and how they look, and now I'm going to work on the embellishments. I'm so excited. So to go through the embellishments real quickly, some of you asked where I get those. I get them from Factory Direct or training, places like that. This is actually the vase filler that I got. I believe I got this from Gabe's years ago. I can't remember for sure, but you can find this filler on Amazon. I have found it there as well. And I always keep cinnamon on hand. Cinnamon helps it to smell really good, but it also adds a nice little decorative touch. I have these things that I use as sprinkles. With sprinkles, you're going to want to use plastic or manufactured sprinkles, not real sprinkles. If you use real sprinkles, you're going to get a lot of bleeding. That case that I just held up to the camera, I got all of those fake sprinkles. They're called simulated sprinkles from Amazon. I have my embellishments as ghost. I keep all of these embellishments in this organizer thing that I got from Michael's, and I have tons of embellishments in here in these little containers. I have everything from little gingerbread men, cinnamon sticks, peppermint candies, carrots for carrot cakes. I do make simulated cakes as well, and pastries for home staging. I love to decorate, and I like to make my own because it costs so much to buy. And if I can make it cheaper than I can buy it, then that's what I'm going to do. I thought I would try these witches' feet, and I also wanted to try to use some of my skeletons, and I thought about using the bones, but I did not use the bones. The hands, that was another thing I was thinking about doing, but they were a little too big, so I thought, nope, that's not going to work. But I still wanted the hands, so in a minute you'll see what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on the witches one first. I'm going to take these. I got these from Michael's. They have a lot of little embellishments for their I want a Halloween Village. When they put that out, you'll be able to find all kinds of little embellishments there. And when they go on sale, it's a perfect time to go buy them. So I'm just going to stick these feet in. There's really no way you can mess this up. You just stick the feet in, get them the direction that you want them to go, and it's pretty much it. You eyeball it, and you just kind of, however you want to put them in. I would love to have had a sign that said Witch's Brew that I could stick in there. And I guess if the Witch's Brew sign that I do have is too big for a coffee cup, but I could probably use my Cricut and make a little wood sign to put on there for a future one. But I thought I would also I wanted to do like maybe a witch's hat. So I was kind of thinking what other embellishments could I put on this cup? I wanted it to have that witchy theme. And I did add my sprinkles. I added black and purple sprinkles. You saw me opening that container there. Again, I'm sorry, these videos are hard to create. I am not a content creator. I was a teacher for years. I do something else as a profession now, but I guess it's the teaching in me that comes out when I do these videos. I just want to share everything with everyone. As far as the YouTube channel goes, I don't post a lot of content because I have a very, very busy life, but I do try to add content to my channel, and I would love to see it grow. I think if more people were interested in my crafts and learning how to do them themselves, and liked it and subscribed to my channel, that would probably encourage me to do it more often. But right now, I just feel like it's mainly for me, and every now and then people will watch it and get an idea. But hopefully you'll like this video. Hopefully you'll subscribe and keep coming back. I think the next video that I want to work on posting is making the Hocus Pocus spell book. I have a great idea of what to use, and I got the idea from another YouTuber. So her name is actually Bargain Bethany. She did a tutorial recently actually she did it last year, and then she reposted it this year, her Hocus Pocus book, and she makes it so simple and so easy with things that are so accessible. So I'm definitely going to give it a try and maybe take you guys along with me. Again, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So anyway, I'm just continuing to embellish this cup, or these cups. I had a bunch of those skeletons, and I believe the skeletons did come from the Dollar Tree years ago. And I wanted little teeny hands, and you'll see, I'm getting ahead of myself. You'll see in a minute what I do with the skeletons, but I wanted to add other embellishments to this cup, and I wasn't sure if the witch's hat would work. So you're going to see me take this wooden sticker that I got from the Dollar Tree a few years ago of a witch's hat. It's sticky on one side and unfinished. So I just thought, well, I don't have time to paint it because I'm in the middle of filming. So I'm just going to get a magic marker, a permanent marker, and I'm going to go to the back of this, and I'm just going to color it and see if that'll at least give it some color and blend it in when you look at it in a 360 kind of view. I don't want things to look pretty from just one side. I want it to look pretty and aesthetically pleasing from all sides. So it did work. This would have worked just fine. The permanent marker did not bleed off when I rubbed it on the washcloth that I keep handy. I also was concerned that maybe it would bleed, the wood and the marker and the paint on the wood would bleed onto the caulking. So, I was kind of concerned about it, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a good try and see if it works. And what you're going to see here in a minute is, yes, I put it in the cup and I think, oh yeah, maybe this will work, but I still wasn't really all that happy with it. I'm going to keep tweaking and going back. And you'll see the final project here in a little bit. But that's the thing with crafting when you're making these things. There's really no rhyme or reason. I might have a general idea of where I'm going, but I never have a set plan, and it's very fluid. It's ever changing. I'm going to, sometimes I'll do something the first time and I love it and I don't make any changes, but the majority of the time I'm going to go back and I'm going to tweak and I'm going to make changes. And I do that with this witch's cup, as you'll see. I did not make any changes to the other cup, though. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with that. So I added the little pumpkin, and I go back, like I said, and I make some tweaks, and you'll see that here in a little bit. But then I move on to this other cup, and I'm looking at some of the pumpkins that I'm going to use in this cup, and I'm thinking, do I want to start with the pumpkin? Do I want to start with the skeleton hands? Do I want to start with, the skeleton head? And then I end up having to go back over to the other side of my crafting room and get another skeleton, because I've been cutting the hands off of these little skeletons, and the one that I had gotten only had one hand. So I had to go back and get a completed one. And that one I ended up cutting off the hands and the feet of. And I don't know what I'm going to do with all these skeleton parts that, they're missing all of the hands and the feet, but I guess I'll figure out something to do with them. But there you go. You see I'm cutting off the hands and the feet. I don't know. Sometimes I crack myself up with the things that I come up with in my head. And I'm like, wow. And I actually had in mind another project for these skeleton. And now I'm thinking, what am I going to do with all these handless, footless skeletons? I have no idea. But I'll think of something, I'm sure. So anyway, I cut these little pieces off, and I'm, as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I really don't like this witch's hat. So guess what? I take it out. And while I was over there getting the skeletons, I see that I have brooms, the witch's brooms, tons of these little witch's brooms. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put this witch's broom in instead. And I have, it's supposed to hang, and I didn't even cut the string off. I have been working all day. I'm rushing home to get this video out to you guys, and I'm tired, and I'm like trying to think that I gotta, I've got to get dinner ready, and I've got all this stuff to do, and I'm like, I'm not cutting the string off. And I thought the string would go into the topping, the caulking, but it didn't. So I had to push it down with a little stick that I had there. And so I get the string all the way down as covered as I possibly could, and I figured I'll cover the rest with some of the sprinkles, and it turned out pretty good. You can't even tell. So the caulking will stay wet and manipulable. I don't even think that's a word, but you'll be able to kind of work with it until it dries fully in about 8 hours. So now back over to the skeleton cup again, and I go ahead and I put all the pieces on. I know exactly where I want them to go and exactly how I want it to look, and I love how it turned out. I ended up making him look like he was coming out of the whipped cream or buried in the whipped cream. And then I used, I put a pumpkin in the very middle of it. It just looks so cute. And then I just went ahead and took some of the cinnamon and sprinkled it all around. I like to take the cinnamon and put it in the palm of my hand and use like the pinching method of sprinkling the cinnamon on, because I find if you go to shake, and you'll see I'm going to try to shake it first, I'm always afraid that too much is going to come out and it's just going to overpower the whole thing. And I'm kind of low on the cinnamon, so it takes forever for it to come out anyway. So I just put it in my hand and use the pinching method, and I just sprinkle it all about, and it looks like dirt, I guess you could say. It just gave it such a great dimensional look. And then I also went back and added just a few of the black sprinkles just to give it that spooky Halloweeny kind of sparkly look. And then the project is completed. I really enjoy these projects. I hope that you enjoyed watching the project. I hope that you see that these are easy to create and that you can create them just like I did for just a few dollars. So until next time, stay happy, stay crafty, and like and subscribe for more.